I'm Zack.
And I'm Jesse.
And we're here on Now You Know channel with our friends Zac and Cambry from JerryRigEverything channel. And we have gotten so many emails from our viewers asking us to talk to you guys about this amazing new thing. I guess it's called the rig. And we're showing that to you right now. And we want to get into it with you guys. We want to find out all about it, like how you guys came up with it, what it's all about, because it looks really cool.
Cool. Thanks for having us on.
So I guess my first question is, how did you guys come up with this idea?
So Cambry and I met and we started dating, and obviously she's in a wheelchair. And I realized that, if we wanted to go do, like a walk through a field or go on a small hike or something, the small wheels on a wheelchair aren't very good in gravel or dirt roads or anything. And so I looked into off-road wheelchairs, and they were just ridiculously expensive, like $10,000, $20,000. And, since we were dating, I didn't want to drop that kind of cash, on someone on a date. That's an expensive date. And so I decided, electric bikes, I had a bunch of them, and I could just very easily put a seat between two electric bikes, and it actually worked, really well.
Yeah, and totally surprised me. I didn't know how he had figured all that out, but somehow he knew.
So wait, he surprised you in his abilities, or he literally, I think I remember the video where he surprised you with it, right?
Yeah, he surprised me. I had no idea that he even knew what dimensions my chair was so that I would fit in between the wheels, and I don't know, it was perfect. It fit me. It was custom. So I was completely surprised. I had no idea it was coming.
But it did have some big flaws, though. There was no reverse, which is kind of important on the first version. And then the bikes were super tall, so she couldn't get in it easily by herself.
Yeah.
And we've solved both of those problems with this newest version that we released a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So should we call it the rig? Should we call it not a wheelchair, like the off-road wheelchair? What do you guys like to call it?
Well, the company is not a wheelchair, and then the rig is our first product, I guess you could say. So the rig.
The rig.
Nice.
All right. It looks so cool. It looks cool for everybody. I've watched videos of you guys going on all sorts of trips. This thing can go in the snow. It can go on beaches. It can go up, steep hills on climbs through the woods. It seems to be able to do everything.
It's definitely taken me more places than I thought I could go. It does have its limitations as to the depth of the snow and different sand.
Yeah, soft sand and loose snow doesn't do super well, but anything try to imagine, a Honda Civic is a normal car that everyone is a little bit not as strong as a truck. If the Honda Civic can do the trail that you're on, our rig also can probably do the trail.
That's pretty good considering most wheelchairs are their own thing. It's not like most wheelchairs are the Honda Civic of wheelchairs. You've actually brought it up to that level, whereas before it has been anywhere from a horse-drawn carriage to worse than that, a unicycle maybe, in terms of accessibility. So this had some kind of engineer ASMR going on in my head. People with ASMR, they're oh, it's like a scratch in the back of my head. I don't get that. I think that's super weird. But when I saw this, I got an itch in the back of my head. I'm like, this is genius, because it again is not only perfect for people who are confined to a wheelchair, but pretty much anyone can enjoy this, and really changes it's no longer going for an e-bike ride. You're going for this completely different form of travel that we haven't actually experienced before. Because we've had electric cars and we've had e-bikes, and this is the perfect marrying between the two, where you get kind of the benefits of both. Whereas normally, engineering-wise, trade-off-wise, you never get to have both. You either have a car or you have a bike, and you've brought it down into the middle really, really well.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
It's been really fun. Yeah, we've noticed. So we've taken it on a lot of miles. Zack hops on one and will go with me because I enjoy going the same speed as him instead of him walking and me just leaving him in the dust. And then my in-laws, so Zack's sister and her husband, have taken it out for a bunch of rides too, and it's fun to go with our little crew. We'll go on a Sunday stroll to the duck pond, and I don't know, I really like it. it's a social thing and it's fun. So you don't have to be in a wheelchair to enjoy it.
I mean, that's one of the things I loved about it is that it seems very social. It puts everyone at the same height. And like you said, you can all be going the same speed if you want to.
And the nice thing about it is like it's super simple, and we're using like, off the shelf bike parts for most of it. And so like if we've had a lot of people from other countries reach out, and we're not shipping internationally right now, but I'm just like, if you find a local bike manufacturer or someone who makes bikes, like they could very easily replicate this in your country, because like shipping overseas is, would double the cost of the bike. So I'm just happy that it's simple enough that, people could replicate what we're doing and give accessibility to more people.
So I think the interesting thing for me here is because you literally took two e-bikes, slapped them together, put a seat in the middle, you really needed the e-bikes to be there first. And e-bikes have existed before, early 2000s, even into the 80s. There's some crazy e-bikes that people have sent to me when I tell them that, like, no, e-bikes only started in 2000. But they've really become prevalent very recently, and that's because of the breakthroughs in technology with lithium-ion batteries and motors and stuff like that. Do you think that you would have come up with this invention had you not had access to e-bikes, if that was not a building block in your head?
Probably not, because, before I ever rode in a Tesla, or before I ever like rode an e-bike, I thought that they were just like weak, like I thought of like a Prius or like a golf cart. But the power that's inside of an electric bike, or the power that's inside of a Tesla, is like mind blowing. And without like experiencing that, it just doesn't really pop into your mind as like a viable alternative.
So which did you ride in first, a Tesla or an e-bike?
The Tesla.
Okay. And that really changed your mind?
Completely.
Okay. Because, yeah, everyone's experience coming out of the, even early 2010s was electric car equals golf cart. And there was hardly any changing that. There's, okay, you want an RC car? Sure. But so it really was the Tesla. So without the Tesla experience for you, you probably wouldn't have gotten into e-bikes, and then you wouldn't have gotten into making this product.
Probably not, yeah. All thanks to Elon, right?
Now, would you have made this gas powered?
It would have crossed my mind. Like when I was a teenager, I dabbled with some like, go-karts and stuff like that. But it's just like when you're going on a hike, having a motor, like a gas powered, engine behind you it's not the same experience. And so I don't think I would have. Like the quietness is one of the big perks.
And Cambry, would you have been excited if he had pulled out this thing and like, would you have liked that?
I think I would have been nervous because in the past I've been on like ATVs and snowmobiles with friends, and I was always worried about my leg. Well, even when I hop on his motorcycle, like I worry about that engine getting too close to my legs, and I have no feeling, so I worry that I'm going to burn my skin or something. So I think I would have had more hesitation if there was a gas powered component to it.
Wow. Now tell us, how easy is it to operate? Like how long does it take to get the hang of it?
I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, so it took like a few minutes to be like, okay, and then I just like took off. So I don't think there's too much of a learning curve when it's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, sitting in it your first time, because it's like instead of doing a bike like this kind of turning, it's like this kind, but I don't know. Yeah. The first like 2 minutes is weird, but after that you get the hang of it.
And that's what I've seen when we've had people test it out. It's like they're a little cautious for a couple minutes, and then they're like, okay, I have this like motor planning figured out. I'm good to go.
Now it has some really cool features, right? Because like one of them is that you can put a wheelchair on the back of it, or put anything on the back of it for that matter. Like you're saying, like tents or gear or whatever you want. It can hold a lot of weight. Like you guys both can ride on one of them. And then you have a feature, I think, where you can get in and out of it really easy. Can you tell us more about that?
The upright steering handles have a little latch down at the bottom that can just disconnect, and then the handle drops completely out of the way and then allows, total access to the seat. So you can do like a side transfer into it. And then as far as the weight goes, we do try to have a recommended weight limit of 225. But yeah, we have exceeded that in our testing several times.
On flat surface.
Now, I remember the original with the two bikes, and I can kind of picture myself even being smart enough to do that. But this latest iteration seems way beyond me. How did you go about designing it? Did you need a collaboration with someone else?
Yeah, so there's a company, it's worked out really well, actually. There's the largest trike manufacturer in the United States. It's just like 40 minutes away from us. And so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I have this project. Let's figure out what we can do together. And so for the last year or so, we've come up with 3 or 4 different versions of this. And then finally we have something that works for everyone. And we had one with like these massive tires on it that looked like it was the size of a Prius.
It was a tank, yeah.
Yeah, and so we were like, this isn't going to work. And so we had to shrink everything down quite a bit.
And I mean, this fits in the back of your pickup truck, or I've seen in the back of an SUV.
Mm-hmm.
So will it fit in the back of a Cybertruck?
Oh, for sure.
And it'll be even easier to get in because, I mean, it'll have the ramp and everything, so you could just drive it up and in. So when we're talking about this in terms of a device to gain ability to someone, what are the limitations for riding it? Because I know that a lot of people, if they see something that they don't like, they're going to tell you that's not allowed, even though they might not understand what the rules and regulations might be. But what are the rules and regulations if someone is using this to give them more ability?
There's 2 directions I can take that question. Let's talk about the physical limitations first. And so if someone is driving it, it does have manual steering, so they do need upper body strength and dexterity in their fingers to work the brakes and throttle. And then I think your question was headed more towards like where people can use this.
Yes.
And if they have a recognized, by the government disability, they can literally take it wherever they want. As long as, the general public is allowed in that area. Now, national parks and stuff, they don't necessarily follow the ADA all of the time. And so there are regulations in certain areas that you'd have to watch out for. But generally speaking, any city park or city trail should allow this
if
because
it's safe for that guy.
Yeah.
If the trail's wide enough, obviously if it's meant for just like a mountain bike and it's a small trail, like that's not going to be a place they're going to recommend you be and they're going to ask you to leave. But if the trail is wide enough, it's safe for the rig to be, they really can't kick you out because ADA protects you for having a device that can get you where other people of the public are going.
I think they can ask you for your placard or your proof that you're handicapped, but you don't have to. So yeah, they can ask for that. So as long as you have that, you're probably fine.
And then this has a locked rear axle, right? So that gives you a lot of traction on, sand and snow. Can you tell us about, you had a recent video, I think you came out with it today, where you were showing it working in snow. Can you tell me how you enjoyed it on that?
Yeah, so the snow worked out really well. What did you think?
I loved it. As a wheelchair user, I hate snow normally. I get stuck in it all the time. My hands get cold. I just really can't wait for summer to come. So when we went out there, I was like, okay, this could be a different experience, and I'm excited. We went probably 2 miles.
2 miles up and then 2 miles
up
back.
and 2 miles. Yeah, it was so much fun. Like I said in the video, it's like Mario Kart but in real life, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and having Zack on one next to me, it was super fun, and I felt safe the whole time we were there. It just couldn't quite handle when the snow got really deep and the incline was pretty severe.
One of our versions did have a differential in the back, but we realized that if one tire was off the ground, it would just spin and lose all, traction and everything. And so we were like, it's a solid axle or nothing.
Yeah.
And it's worked
We tested
great.
it without the solid axle, and we ran into a lot of issues with it. So
yeah,
you guys have been testing this for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're all about stats on this channel. Whenever a new electric car or something comes out, we're always talking about range and batteries and stuff like that. Can you guys kind of run through some of the stats on this? What's the range?
So if you have one battery, and it depends on how you're driving and stuff, we would say the range would be anywhere from 10 to 20 miles with one battery. But we have one of our testers would just floor it and just take this trail forever. And I think he got 35 miles on one battery. So if you're starting and stopping a lot, it drains quicker. And then if you have 2 batteries, obviously that doubles your range. And so I would say about anywhere from 20 to 35, 40 miles with 2 batteries.
Really depends on the weight too.
And the weight and the terrain and everything. But estimated 2 batteries is around 35 miles or so.
And then what is the motor rated at?
It's 1,000 watts.
Wow.
Nice.
All right.
So that's a good deal of power there.
And then here's the part that really floored me. Normally, wheelchairs that can go off-road cost tens of thousands of dollars. And I was kind of ready at the end of your video for you to tell us that that's what this would cost. But it does not cost that. Can you just let our viewers know what you got it in at?
Yeah, so our base version that doesn't have the drop-down handlebars is $3,750, and then the version with the full suspension and drop-down handlebars is $4,750. So about half the price of other off-road wheel flips.
It's cheaper than some e-bikes.
Yeah. A lot of e-bikes, actually.
And it has double the wheels and a lot more functionality for a lot more people. That's really, really impressive. I'm so appreciative that you were able to do that. That's incredible.
Yeah, this is going to change a lot of people's lives. Like, I think that's why we've been getting so many people reaching out to us. They're just almost in disbelief. They're like, "Is this for real? Like, can you get them on? Can you get them on the show and like really ask them?"
Right.
So if people are watching right now and they really want to check this out, where should they go?
Our website is notawheelchair.com, and we're also on Instagram at notawheelchair.
And people can support you too, even if they don't want the rig. They can go on there and donate.
We have that little donation pot set aside so that we can start, I don't know, like a grant or like a scholarship type of thing. We haven't exactly decided what we're going to do with that money yet, but it's going to go towards subsidizing bikes for people down the road.
That's so awesome. You guys are great. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you so much for inventing the rig. I'm sure it's going to touch a lot of people's lives. And so when is this going to be available?
Pre-orders are now, and then we start shipping in September of this year, 2020.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks so much for watching Now You Know. We work hard to bring you videos about things that we think you'll find useful, but we need to know from you what you want to see, so leave your comments below. Also, don't forget to go over to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can watch our Patreon bonus story every week on Tesla Time News. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.